Hi, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This show is all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager, a farmer, or a food producer selling at farmers markets, or just a curious farmers market shopper, this is the podcast for you. Our guest this week is Ross Graham of Food Liability Insurance Program, or FLIP. Ross is a licensed insurance agent and strategic partnership manager focused on using insurance to help even more businesses and groups find the coverage they need at an affordable price. In our conversation with Ross, we talk about all things risk management at the farmers market and how to protect vendors and market managers. Hey, I'm one of your hosts, Bridget Myers. I've spent years as an on-site farmers market manager, and I've done it all from pulling permits to vetting vendors.
I'm another one of your hosts, Justine Marzoni-Mead, farmers market vendor, hot sauce maker, and event facilitator for the Intense Conference.
And I'm Kat Fields-White, director of San Diego Markets, still popping up farmers market tents, and founder of Intense Business.
This week, our guest is Ross Graham, licensed insurance agent and representative for Food Liability Insurance Program, which happens to be a sponsor for the 2019 Intense Conference. Although Ross talks about the benefit of his business, of course, we as market managers and vendor really do always emphasize the importance of insurance in the farmers market industry. Working for FLIP, Ross has the opportunity to work with food producers, entrepreneurs, and other groups that may have a difficult time finding the right insurance coverage for their unique enterprise. Ross has found a niche in partnering organizations, groups, and associations with customized insurance products to fit the needs of their members. Ross will also be joining us at the 2019 Intense Conference in February.
Hello. I just have my audio on. I can.
That's fine. We did not brush our hair today.
Yeah, that's always a question. Justine, are we going to have video? Do I have to take a shower? Take my jammies off. Right.
One time, Kat didn't know the guests were actually coming to the office.
Yes.
And she was like super in her pajamas.
Totally. Not exactly pajamas, but pretty darn close.
That was fun. Now we know.
Yeah.
Yes, that's.
All right. Ross, how did you end up in the insurance business?
That's a good story and a long one. When I tell people what I do for work from back home in Virginia where I grew up, they're quite surprised because I was heavily involved in music and singing and acting.
Oh.
I know.
This
I
is
got
the opposite. Yeah.
Pretty much. That's what people think, right?
It gives a different meaning to the phrase "break a leg."
Yes.
Oh, God.
That's a bodily injury risk. Exactly. So I have it wearing a different hat now. So I went to school for music education, got my degree. I was doing my student teaching and looking for jobs. And sadly, of course, we already had our first boy, and it was just looking for a teaching job to support a family is really hard, sadly. So I started working for an insurance company, and it stuck. And 8 years later, here I am.
Great.
Yeah. So FLIP, the Food Liability Insurance Program, is a part of Veracity Insurance, and that's the first company I worked for. Luckily, I had an in family. It always starts with family, right? I had a little familial in, call it nepotism, whatever you want.
Bridget would know a little bit about that.
I know a little bit about it. It's okay.
But I'm still here. They haven't fired me yet, so I guess I'm doing a good job. So I started at Veracity Insurance, and about 8 years ago is when Veracity really started focusing on these online insurance programs. Veracity has always specialized in kind of niche program type insurance, working with organizations and groups to get insurance for their members. But at that time, they really started opening up this idea of niche group insurance to specific products. And that's how FLIP started. So it started about 6 years ago, and it's grown ever since. So FLIP, the Food Liability Insurance Program, is a program that's run by Veracity.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's part of that bigger group. What are
Exactly.
What are the services that, I know your services, but if you can explain why it's so specific and niche for farmers market groups and vendors that you cover, what are some services that you offer?
For sure. Yeah. So we have, we're launching new programs every month, it seems like. But our specialty, our programs right now, we have one for ACT. ACT insurance is for artists, crafters, and tradesmen. We have one for insurebodywork.com, which is for massage therapists, cosmetologists, estheticians, etc. So very wide ranging. And Flip specifically, we knew that it was a need, and by doing some market research, we saw that there was more and more farmers markets requiring insurance. So that's why we stepped into the small business food makers and food company insurance business.
So how is that different than other insurance providers? Like if you're going to go to kind of a general insurance provider, can you kind of explain the difference between doing that and doing like a niche market?
Yeah, so the big thing is Veracity Insurance ourselves, we have an awesome relationship with the insurance carrier that is the underwriting partner of Flip. Basically, it's a great American insurance. They're A+ rated with AM Best, and we have this relationship with them, and we basically developed this specific program after doing market research, finding out exactly what the needs were for this industry. So differently, if you go get a BOP, which is a business owner's policy from another insurance carrier, it's going to be more expensive and have a lot of coverage that you may not really need as a starting up business, right? So the big thing that sets Flip apart is that it's great coverage. It is, but it's extremely affordable. And really cool as well, that Flip is completely online. So you don't have to walk into an agent's office. You don't have to fax in an application or anything like that. You go to FLIprogram.com. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes to fill out an application, and you'll have your proof of insurance immediately. And another thing is that we are available in all 50 states. A lot of people that you may look into for insurance, they may be a regional insurance carrier. So they can only write policies for people in a few states or within only a certain region. But because of our partnership with A Great American, we are able to write policies in all 50 states.
Nice. And I think that's convenient for the farmers market industry as well, is that you can do it online and like get it right away. Because we have vendors that will apply to us and they want to start like that week, and maybe they're ready to go, and they bring in their samples and it's real quick and it kind of expedites the process. And so it's nice to like have that availability as opposed to, now I have to go find an insurance agent, I have to explain what I need and then come back. And sometimes the insurance kind of hangs up the timeline for them. Yeah.
Yep.
How do you guys handle additional insured? Because I know we require our vendors and farmers to have additional insured listed on there.
So that's an endorsement or an addition to the policy. Oftentimes, other insurance carriers will charge you up to $100 to add that specific endorsement onto the policy. It's in a Core 25 form, but we do that for free. We don't charge to add additional insureds to these policies. So again, the policy starts at just $299 for the year. $1 million in coverage, $2 million per occurrence. You can look on the website for more details. Yeah. Insurance numbers is boring, but I love digging deep into the reasoning behind it. These are great questions. So yeah, the AIs you can add for free.
That's really helpful because as a vendor, I have to have additionally insured for all the markets I'm in. And I've also, when wholesaling, I've had stores require that I add them as additionally insured. And with my previous insurance program, it got really expensive because I had
they were charging you for it? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know that ACT, Ross, you can actually do an additional insured right online and get the cert. Does Flip do that as well?
Flip does the same thing. It's all electronic, all paperless.
So much easy.
Yeah.
So the cool thing is, I was doing the calculations. We just did a tabulation of all the policies that we've done year to date, and across all of our online insurance programs, we've saved around 15 million pieces of paper by doing everything online.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, because we get a lot of insurance certs from ACT and from Flip that are just emailed to us. So it's not a matter of it goes to the vendor and then they have to print it out and scan it and send it. It's just coming straight to us, which is nice.
And Yeah, and a lot of people may have a question like, what is an additional insured, and why do they ask for it? So basically, it's a risk control measure. It's another way for the farmers market, like Kat, you'll understand, to not be responsible for something that a vendor may do. It further protects the farmers market from mistakes that vendors may make. It's becoming more and more common for people to ask for it. It really needs to be standard across the industry, but we'll see if that happens.
Well, and in fact, I mean, as we talk a lot about the future of farmers markets and farmers market management, that a lot of our job now is involved with risk management. When we get a permit from the city, because a lot of us are on city streets or parking lots that are owned by the city or what have you, the city requires us to list them as additional insured, and they require us to get those additional insured certificates from our vendors that also name the city. So that's becoming more and more common because cities are all about the risk management now. So that's been a big deal. Do you also offer insurance policies for small farmers? Because that's another one where we haven't seen, the cities haven't been asking for insurance on farmers for some reason. There was sort of an unwritten exemption for small farmers, at least in the state of California and in Washington, a couple other places that I've seen. But we're getting questions now from the city about that, and we're getting questions from our own, insurance company, and I think that's coming down the pike.
Yes, for sure. So the nice thing is the food liability insurance program, we will cover these farmers who come to the market. Now, to get a kind of a package policy that covers their farm, their exposures at the farm would be difficult.
Gotcha.
But we can answer that question for them when they bring their products to the market. Yeah, they can buy a flip policy to cover them while they're at the market. We don't ask for specific locations to have coverage. The coverage territory for flip is all 50 states, as I said before. So they can go to whatever farmer's market they may go to and have coverage through flip when they sell their products at the farmer's market.
Nice. That's perfect, because I think a lot of people are going to be looking for that soon. That's coming right up. Are there, do you offer policies that cover farmer's market managers?
We do, yeah. We do have special event policies for the actual farmers market itself as well. We can talk with our brokerage department. We have access to a wide range of different insurance carriers where we can get quotes and get a policy that fits your needs and hopefully won't break the bank.
Right. Yeah, exactly. What kind of things, whether it's protecting, so as a market manager, what kind of things are we looking to protect ourselves against? I mean, what kind of risk management issues do we have to have in mind, whether it's something that the vendor does or something that we're doing at the market?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot. And that's the thing, things are going to happen that are out of your control. And really insurance is there basically to help remove some of that risk basically from you, and insurance is willing to do that at a premium, right?
Sure.
So for the insurance that you get, for all the risks that you have, there's a lot. Let's talk about it here. Well, first off, we know sadly, what was it, 14, 16 years ago, there's a horrible accident in California where there's a car driving through a farmer's market.
Yeah, in LA a long time ago.
Things happen, So there's bodily injury to third parties. There's what if you have volunteers there and you have a volunteer or an employee who trips and falls and gets injured? What if somebody eats some fresh drinks some fresh kombucha and says they get sick from it? What if the city itself sues you over improperly taping down power lines or something? There's a whole bunch of different risks, and insurance is there to hopefully help mitigate that risk as much as it can. But some of these things, there's like basic exclusions in any insurance policy where you won't have coverage for it. For example, like governmental rules and regulations. If you're not following government rules and regulations, for example, ADA compliance, the Americans with Disabilities Act, insurance won't cover you for it. Any insurance policy will exclude that no matter what. So insurance won't cover everything, but for even things you may not even be thinking about as a farmer's market manager. When you collect all the information for the vendors, where does that information go? And what would happen if it was stolen? If it was stolen, if they were able to use that information to injure the vendor somehow, that's a data breach. There's specific insurance for data breaches that you can purchase. If somebody says, a volunteer or an employee says that they're fired for a certain reason that's covered by some type of law, there's the employment practices liability insurance coverage as well. What if there is a storm that blows over tents? There's so many different things that can happen.
I kind of want to move to a tropical island and give this whole thing up.
We're all quitting our jobs right now.
But it's worth it. I know.
We do love
Lots of
being
fire
in the
and
farmers
brimstone.
market.
Yes, fire and brimstone, and we don't want to talk fear-based all the time, but
Right.
Yeah.
things happen, right? And you want to do those things. You want to do whatever you can in risk management and control, like you were talking about, to make sure those things don't happen, or if it does happen, it doesn't cause as much damage or loss, right? For example, there's a great resource that I found while I was researching this topic, and this is from let me open it up here. This is actually from the Vermont Law School and the Center for Agriculture and Food Systems, partnered with the Farmers Market Coalition. They put together something called the Farmers Market Legal Toolkit. And I actually spoke with somebody over there at the Vermont Law School, and they said, I would love for you to mention this toolkit. Because basically the Farmers Market Coalition was getting so many questions about business structure and all of these legal things that they can't answer because they're not a lawyer. I can talk about insurance, but I can't answer all the questions about legality and things like that. So they did create that Farmers Market Legal Toolkit, and it's farmersmarketlegaltoolkit.org, and it is a great resource. I strongly suggest any farmers market director to go over to that site and take a look at it, because it has a lot of great information. And one thing that they actually mentioned was a case study. And there was a trip and fall claim at a Capital City Farmers Market in Montpelier, Vermont. And basically, they did a few things to help control the risk so that it wasn't as bad as it could have been. For example, the first thing was that they incorporated their farmers market so that it wasn't just a sole proprietorship. Second, they did get insurance, and because of that, the insurance actually paid the court fees. So the person who tripped and fell was asking for $110,000 in damages, and because they had insurance, because they had all those things set up in place, the insurance actually paid out. I think I'm looking for it here. So the insurance ended up, in regards to the legal fees associated with the lawsuit, they paid $25,000 and $11,000 to settle the lawsuit. So that is, again, $36,000 that could have been coming out of their pocket, but the insurance paid for it.
But your insurance company, when they defend you from that kind of thing, they're going to want to know that you've done what you can do to prevent those sort of things, right?
That's for sure. And here on the Farmers Market Legal Toolkit, they have so many checklists.
Yeah.
And actually, when I was at the Intense conference at the beginning of the year, I was really impressed by what the California Association had put together in that big binder.
Right.
They had a checklist, a day of checklist. Those are all good things to do to make sure that you have those things in place. And again, all you can do is do the best you can, and you really are liable for people getting injured there who are at your location. So you want to do the best you can to make it a safe and secure place so that they have a good time and that your vendors can be successful, because that's what we all want. Yeah, we all want these vendors to be successful and have a safe space, and we do that by again, doing the best we can as professionals to create that safe space for them.
Yeah, and I know you'll be back at Intense this coming February, and so will Farmers Market Coalition, so will the California Alliance of Farmers Markets, and we'll probably try and incorporate the legal toolkit into that presentation too, so people have a chance to ask questions and kind of present specific scenarios and let us know the best way to mitigate what the risk exposure is.
For sure.
But you cover an awful lot of vendors. We get a lot of policies from you for our vendors.
Yeah.
So Justine, do you have specific stuff that you're trying to guard against usually, or are you just getting insurance because the manager says, hey, you have to have insurance?
I'm a terrified business owner.
Okay, good. So you see the value anyway.
I do.
Okay, good.
One question that I had for Ross that has been one of those things that I'm just like, I should do that. But I haven't done yet.
But you will be tomorrow. In
I
case
will
anybody's
be
listening that's going to try to make this an
By
issue.
the time you listen to this,
It's taken care of. Yeah.
no, this is actually not on site at the farmers market, but I think this is something that probably concerns a lot of vendors who have shelf-stable products that are warehoused. Does Flip cover? Do you have inventory insurance?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I know we've been talking a lot about the farmers market and the risks to the farmers market managers and directors. But yeah, going back to the vendors, as a small business person, you should be concerned of loss to your business property. And with Flip, the food liability insurance program, we do have coverage for your business equipment and supplies and inventory built into the policy. So what we call it, there's a bunch of different property insurance forms that you can find. Some of these forms, if it's business property, oftentimes it is attached or tied to one location listed on your policy. So that it depends again on the policy form, but sometimes if you take it away from that location, there's no coverage for that property. But the type of form that we have our property coverage on is called an inland marine form. Really interesting story that I won't tell you about why it's called inland. You can ask me at the conference.
Okay.
But basically, it's your business personal property is either at a fixed location or in transit or at a location away from your home or storage location. Basically, it's property coverage for your business, the equipment supplies, not like a structure, but for your equipment, supplies, inventory, no matter where it is in the 50 states, basically. So the $10,000 coverage comes with the $299 policy. You can increase that. If you do own your own warehouse space, talk to us. We can get you quoted for that more traditional property coverage that covers a structure and the equipment or supplies within it. And so, to be honest, the most common claim that we get is for the loss of business equipment and inventory. Just recently, we paid out on a claim. A chain was cut and a generator was stolen off of a food truck that we cover. And
I think I saw that story that you posted about that.
So
We just had that happen at a market.
Someone took a generator?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, see, and those are all things that may happen. And talking about insurance, of course, here's the disclaimer. I won't say it super fast like a car salesman, but all insurance is different, and you want to double check and make sure with your agent. Oh, and always get it in writing. If you ask some of these really important questions to an agent, make sure to get a response in writing if you can. But all of these insurances are different. All of the coverage and exclusions are different. So just make sure to go over the forms in depth. We're just having a conversation here, but make sure that this isn't all-encompassing, I should say.
Yeah,
sure.
And that's so important, I think, because for a lot of these small businesses that are in farmers markets, there's certain things that you use every day, like pieces of equipment that are vital to your business. And if you don't have that, they're hard to replace. Or, for us, we put all this money into like making inventory. And if that were to not be with us any longer, that would be, that'd be a difficult obstacle to get over. So
For sure. And that's the thing, we wanted to design an insurance product that was extremely affordable, but also had coverage that would cover a lot of these claims that would just be extremely detrimental, even catastrophic to your business, So it's there's so many things that can happen, and you don't think about it. And these small business professionals, they love what they do. I've met so many of them already, and it's such a cool industry. And they care so much about what they do, and it just breaks my heart to think that something that's out of their control, that they're still liable for in a legal sense, may happen that will put them out of business. And not just put them out of business, if it could really threaten their personal assets as well if there's a big legal lawsuit. So
yeah. I mean, you just have to think about it like any insurance. Yeah, like any insurance. I feel like health insurance,
homeowners, health, whatever.
Yeah, just stuff that's out of your control. That's just what it is for, and usually it just comes in handy, and hopefully is not anything else that you need to deal with.
Russ, do you get out to farmers markets much? Do you go to markets? Do you go see your clients, or is it an online?
Do I?
Yeah, is it just an online life? Are we just online friends other than the Intense conference, or do you actually get out and see people?
No, we actually get out there. If you check our Facebook page for Flip, we'll go down to the Provo Farmers Market. There's a Sunset Farmers Market that's just, I take my bike there with my boys. It's a 4-minute bike ride away in the summer. Utah, we don't have the best growing season. It's there for sure, but it's just, it gets hot and then it gets cold really fast.
A lot of snow. Yeah.
A lot of snow.
Short
but
window.
we love the Salt Lake City downtown farmers market. And that's funny that you mentioned that, like other people that I've talked with in this industry and with organizations and associations, they say that you're the only insurance people we see out here who like cares, and like, well, we do care. So I love it. Check out our videos on our Facebook page, and you'll see me out there. I went to there's a farmers market put on down in Provo at the stadium parking lot, and it was actually really smoky that day, but we still went out there with the boys because all the wildfires out here in Utah. But you guys know about wildfires in California.
Sadly we do.
Yes. But no, we still made it out there. There are some awesome local people that you get to meet, and so many interesting products. You have the people who are making their food products, making their fresh salsa. And the cool thing is, they buy the produce from their neighbor who's selling tomatoes and tomatillos and cilantro, and then they make it at home. And you got the person who has beehives in his backyard that he moves around to different orchards or fields to get specific honey. It's really cool. It's a really cool industry, and you can tell the people involved in it really care about it, and that makes me more interested in it and care about it as well.
See, aren't you glad you're in this kind of insurance and not insuring like auto dealers or something boring like that? We'll work for food,
not
Ross.
as cool as music, but still creative
that's
and
true.
fun people.
That's right.
Hold on to that a little bit. Well, Ross, we really had such a good, I feel like this is really educational interview too, because, Kat and I teach a Vendor 101 class, which is like a really, much smaller kind of intense idea, but it's a monthly workshop that we do here with vendors, and we've done it for 10 years. But we really try to talk to them about the insurance thing because it's so important, and people are surprised, like, I need insurance. I didn't realize that. And so when these people are starting out in farmers markets, it's really good to remind them, like, these are the things that you need to do. These are nuts and bolts stuff. And then there's this big creative aspect to starting a farmers market business. It's so great and fun and get creative with the food, but you have to have those kind of baseline nuts and bolts logistical things figured out. So
business side,
insurance is important.
That's
right. It is.
Even just to participate, it's becoming more and more common. Just you have to have insurance to even get a toe into the industry. And if I could, any parting words I could give to these people listening, talk to us, give us a call. Go to our website if you have questions as a vendor. If you're a farmer's market and you want to take take another, always review your insurance, because you know what? The devil's in the details, and you don't want to be surprised about what is or isn't covered in your policy until it's too late. So when it's time to renew your policy, always review that with your agent. Ask those questions about specific risks that you don't want to be have on your plate, that you want to see if you can put off onto the insurance company's plate, again, for a premium, right? Document. If there's incidents that happen, even if you don't think a claim may happen, fill out that incident report. And this is for farmers markets as well, directors. If they're there, those incidents that happen, document. Because
so denial is not an effective strategy. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. No. No. That did not. Yeah. That is not effective in a court of law. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Man.
Plead the fifth.
Yeah. And go out there and have fun and doing what you do, because this is important for our country, and not just the country, but your locality. It's important for your community, and it's really awesome to see what y'all are doing over there. And I'm really excited to see you in San Diego. And if you're lucky, maybe I'll sing some lines from a Puccini aria or something.
Yes, please.
But you have to come to Intense.
Yes,
Intense talent show. I haven't thought about that.
That's
That's
gonna
what we need
get
to
people
do.
coming.
That would be fun.
Well, all right. Well, we're gonna do
I
our.
would totally kill it. I would totally kill it if there was some, what do you call it? Karaoke.
Yes,
There you go.
we're gonna do
That'd be
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, there we
Farmers
go.
Market karaoke
Yeah.
talent show. All right, well, we're gonna do our wrap up question of the week, and it was kind of hard to think of a question because we try to relate it to who we're speaking to. So since insurance is we're trying not to be too kind of
Too
stiff
funny,
about
but
it. Yeah.
There we go.
But we thought something that would be funny is if we can all kind of go around and, because I know Kat and I always drill home. We say, what's the most important piece of equipment you can bring to the market? Like this, make sure this is in your car. And we always tell our vendors to bring tent weights, like something to weigh their tent down, because I haven't seen a lot of accidents or anything happen in my years at markets, but I have seen tents blow over when it's windy at the market. So I saw a tent blow straight up into a tree that was right behind. No one got hurt, but it just blew. It was so
We're
it just
just
blew
lucky, though.
directly up into this tree.
That is another common claim.
Yes.
Yeah, wind is the worst with all those tents.
Wind is the worst. So we are our question of the week this week is, what is the most creative tent weight you have seen? Because I know we've seen some pretty wild ones. So we'll kind of give you a minute to think about it, Ross, and then, or something that you think would be a creative tent weight. But we'll kind of go around. Kat, what is something you've seen at the market?
Well, I've seen people show up without tent weights. We've told them they had to have a weight. The wind maybe starts to kick up a little bit. They got to look around. Amazingly, 10-pound bags of oranges tied to your tent legs can be fairly effective.
Very effective. And delicious.
And delicious. That's right. Tent weights, effective and delicious. So I've seen people use big bags of citrus.
Edible tent weights.
Edible tent weights. I think this is a business of the future. Edible tent weights.
That's good. Justine, what have you seen or what have you used?
Okay, so our creative solution is we use a kettlebell that we stole from one of our roommates. And so Nate, if you're looking for and it's way too heavy. It's 25 pounds or something. But it's
What'd you say, Nate, if you're looking for your
Yeah,
kettlebell?
Nate, if you're looking for your tent weight, it's in Dave's truck.
But you and Dave are super buff now because you pump it a couple
I have
times
to
when you
use
get it out.
I should probably actually get insurance to be able to lift up this kettlebell, because I have to pick it up and swing my whole body and drop it. So
You're gonna get a
the
workman's
only
comp.
incident in the market where somebody's injured by a
I'm
flying
gonna throw my back
kettlebell.
out. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Bridget?
Well, I was at the Prescott Farmers Market last year sometime, and it's a little, country style farmers market. It was so fun, and this old farmer had a tent weight, and it was the leg of a pair. Well, he had it on every corner, so 4 legs of a pair of jeans that he had cut off and then tied on the bottom and filled with cement, and then tied it. So it was stylish. And I was like, what's in there? And I had talked to him about it for so long, and he was so proud of it, about his tent weights.
Blue jean tent weights.
It was tied like around the leg of the tent.
Yeah, well, he had it like, no, he was like he like had a piece of rope in this concrete. He must have put like quick dry concrete in there, and then it was like a jean leg. I was like, what's in there? He's like, it's just the jeans. It holds the concrete. And it was so funny. He was just tied to each leg of his tent. He's like, get it, legs? I'm like, I get it. Creepy and effective, I guess. But yeah, that was very creative. So if anyone wants to get fancy, Ross, what is a tent weight that you've seen or that you think
that you
someone could
recommend?
use? Yeah,
I think a very creative one, and this is only creative, not effective. But
Okay, from a professional. Ready?
That's right. Not effective. A creative tent weight, I think, would be to print off all of your old insurance policies, put them in a manila envelope, and tie them to the legs, because those policies can get into the hundreds of pages. So
that might be effective.
That would be effective.
All right.
Let's put them in a binder.
Creative.
I like it. I like it.
Hang them from your tent leg. That's funny.
Yep.
Great answer.
That's a good one. I'm going to recommend that in our next class. I'll make a list. All right, Ross, it was really nice to talk to you, and we are really looking forward to seeing you in sunny San Diego in February.
So nice. This time I promise I won't get stuck in the Salt Lake City parking lot in the snow. And I'm happy to see everybody there at the Tuesday Farmers Market and the Little Italy Farmers Market.
That's
I'm going to hopefully get there early enough to walk around and see all your bright, shining, smiling faces.
Perfect.
We'll see you
right,
there.
see you then.
Thanks, Ross.
See you soon.
Okay,
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening along. Please leave us a review on iTunes and tell us how you liked today's episode. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss the next one. And if you want more farmers market tips, you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter at intensebusiness.com and follow us on Instagram at intensebusiness. That's INTENTS business. Ross will be leading the workshop Manage Your Risk, Protect Your Business at the Intense Conference. The 2019 Intense Conference will be held in San Diego, February 24th through the 26th, and you can register now on our website. Ross will be there, will you?
This podcast is produced by Intense Business, where passion meets profit. Today's episode was recorded and edited by Justine Marzoni Mead. Original music by David Mead. Special thanks to our guests Ross Graham, Food Liability Insurance Program, and San Diego Markets.